Hi, this is Mike Fry, and you are listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. Today is January 8th, 2026, and today's installment is From George Floyd to Renee Good. The GOP continues to blame victims murdered by their racist goons while lying to their moronic supporters with the help of a complicit corporate press. For the record, calling those who murdered George Floyd and Renee Good racist murderous goons is the nicest way we can possibly describe them. Furthermore, when we use those words, we're not just referring to Derek Chauvin, the monster who knelt on George's neck, strangling him to death while mugging for cameras, and the still unidentified fuck who shot Renee Nicole Good in cold blood. We're talking about the others who worked with them, did nothing to stop them, and who laughed as though they enjoyed the murder and abetted the murderers. We're also talking about the organizations who hired them, tried to protect them, and who lied about them. Wait, some of you probably want to deny that these evil fucks celebrated these murderers. For you, watch the ICE agents in a video on our blog right after Renee Good bled to death after being shot in the head and there was denied access to her by emergency medical care. For those who need convincing, check out the video of ICE agents callously patting each other on the back after Good was killed. Collectively, we're talking about a lot of people, including many in the press, all of ICE, a portion of the Minneapolis Police Department, at least those that worked there during the time of Floyd's murder. We're talking about Kristi Noem, Kash Patel, and, well, heck, the entire regime in the White House currently waging war against the American people on the streets of our nation. Also, for the record, we admit that we are suffering from a bit of PTSD following Good's needless killing. It's bringing flashbacks to our experiences in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd, because, as we've pointed out before, it was our neighborhood that burned to the ground. The smoke from the fires was literally blowing through our house in Minneapolis. It was our favorite restaurant, police precinct, and post office that were turned into smoldering piles of ash. The helicopters were circling our house for weeks on end, seemingly 24/7. It was people we knew who were pepper sprayed by police inside the medic tent as they were tending to injured people. It was our friends who captured some of the first images and videos we saw of the white supremacists who invaded our neighborhood to light fires in order to fulfill their sickening desire to instigate a race war in the USA. At least in part because of our history watching the mainstream press bend over backwards to try to blame peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters for the arson done by white supremacists, thereby doing the work of the white supremacists for them, and after watching people try to blame George Floyd for his own killing, insisting he had passed a forged $20 bill at a local shop so somehow deserved to be killed, never mind that even if true, there would be no proof that he knew he had a forged bill. After watching our press and government lie about the killing, the things leading up to it and the resulting aftermath, we're feeling a little bit triggered by seeing it happening all over again on familiar streets in our long-term hometown. With Renee Good having been senselessly gunned down by ICE agents mere blocks from where Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd, and with both killings being committed by thugs paid by our government and who are supposed to be enforcing our laws rather than assassinating innocent people on our streets, we can't help but connect the two. The murders of Floyd and Good will forever be linked in our minds. Tragically, in the 5.5 years that have passed since George Floyd, the press has gotten worse in covering what are effectively government-funded executions of innocent U.S. citizens. A simple example of what we're talking about, 24 hours after the on-camera murder of Good, we have yet to hear or see anyone in the press call it what it was. Instead, and contrary to statements made by the mayor and governor, they have worked to normalize lies coming from Kristi Noem and Donald Trump, aka Felon 47. For example, both insist Good was a domestic terrorist who tried to kill ICE agents with her car. Felon 47 insisted she ran over an agent who is now recovering in the hospital and added, quote, "It's amazing he survived," end quote. Yet multiple videos from different angles prove none of that to be true. The videos all show, bullet point, the ICE agent in question stepped in front of her car while drawing his gun. Bullet point, Good turned the car to the right so the agent was no longer in front of her car when the agent fired the first of 3 shots. Bullet point, during the second and third shots, the car was moving past the agent. Bullet point, the agent was never touched by the car, much less run over by it. Bullet point, ICE agents had surrounded Good's car and were aggressively threatening her. One was even trying to force open her car door when she carefully tried to flee. In the face of those facts, how has the press talked about the overt lies coming from the White House? Answer, they say mealy-mouthed bullshit like, quote, "The videos raise questions about the official narrative," end quote. No. The videos don't raise questions. They prove the regime is lying. Raising questions and proving lies are completely opposite things in case anyone needs to be reminded of that. The press has also, far too often, served merely as stenographers, writing out the narrative of the people they clearly know to be lying. So a peace-loving, award-winning poet and mother gets repeatedly referred to as a domestic terrorist in the press in order to sanitize and excuse her senseless murder, as if murdering her was not victimizing her enough. You would literally have to be a knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing moron to watch the videos and then take most of the things being said in the press seriously. And as speculation grows that Felon 47 is intentionally stirring up tensions in our streets in order to invoke the Insurrection Act and take control of our streets, the press and the morons among us just roll out the red carpet and help him, just like they aided and abetted the neo-Nazis that torched our Minneapolis neighborhood 5.5 years ago. Back then, we said this kind of shit would keep happening unless the feckless press learned to do their jobs. Now all we can say is, we effing told you so. In our next installment, we'll talk about the things we all can and must do to change this. Stay tuned. You have been listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. You can find us on Substack, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and most other places podcasts can be found. Please like and subscribe and share on your social media. And thanks for listening.